So last time we made this website here about the CIS building. We made this website purely in HTML. HTML, remember, is all about structuring your website. You use CSS to style it. In this video, we're going to use some CSS to make this website look a little bit better. So to get CSS into our website, we've got our HTML file, and what I'm going to do is link a CSS file. I've got a separate file here I've called CSS.style.css. There's nothing in there at the moment. To link that file to my HTML, I need an extra line here in my head block, and if I just use a link tag here, this is a self-closing tag. It's not one I need a closure tag for. And in there I have these things, so you can just keep these the same. But here, this href, this is where I reference my .css file. I called it css.style.css. I've got this file in the same directory as my index.html file. If it was in a subdirectory, maybe if I had it in a subdirectory called styles, all I'd have to do is write styles and then slash just to say it's in a subdirectory. That's quite common, but it's not. It's in the same directory, so we'll just keep it like that. And now we've got a linked style sheet here. And what I can do in my CSS file is to start styling the page. Just to check that it works. Let's say we'll select the body here, and we could change the background color to red, let's say. If I just reload that, we get a red background. It looks horrible. I'm going to change that back. Change that back to white. There we go. Something else I might want to do is change, say, the font. So I could say font family, and I want to change it to Helvetica. So let's do that, Helvetica. When you're setting the fonts, often you have a fallback font. So I say Helvetica here. But we might just want to fall back to any sans serif fonts. Sans serif fonts are fonts like Helvetica. You can read up more on those if you want to. So I can just say something like that, and the font should change now when I reload it. Yep, looking slightly nicer. I think something that would be really good to do right now is to we've got this navigation menu here, but it's just a list at the moment. I'd like that to look like a menu that goes across the page here. I'd like it to look as if it's got sort of buttons I could click on to go to these different menu items. In our HTML, we've got our menu. It's in this nav semantic tag, this block here, this nav block. And the thing itself is just an unordered list. Remember, we've got an unordered list of links, and then we actually had a sub list here as well, making that sub menu. To reference this navigation block in our CSS, we could reference the nav directly by just saying nav, and we might do something like set the background color, and we could set that to black. Should look a bit better, I think. Well, yes, it goes to black, but unfortunately we've got these purple links here on the black background. That's no good. So what we could do is try and set those to white. Links are A tags, of course, so we could select the A tags here and say that the color should be the color of the text should be white. Let's try that. Yep, they go to white. But what you might notice is here we had a link here and that's disappeared. That's also turned white, and it's white on a white background, so it's gone. We want that back. We just want these ones here to turn white. So what we would do here is actually say nav A, and this then will just select any of these A tags that are sort of within the nav block there. So if we just reload that, so that link is back to purple as it was. These ones remain white. Something else we might want to do to those links, to those A tags, is just take off the text decoration. If we say none, that should get rid of the underlines there. We don't want those. Yep, they're gone. What else? Let's think about how to get these into a line. At the moment they're as a column, we want those as a line across the page. We can do that by selecting the UL tag. That's the unordered list tag. We want the list to go crossways, and so what we can do for that is say display inline flex. That would be good, wouldn't it? Inline flex. There we go. And we get them going across there. They look a bit jumbled up at the moment, but it's looking a bit more like a menu already. To get these less jumbled, let's think about putting some padding or a margin in there. Perhaps in the unordered list. No, within the list items within the unordered list. Let's say if we were to set the padding there for the list items, and let's just say we'll set that for now to 1 EM. Let's see what that does. Yeah, okay, good. Things are a bit more spaced out now. It's starting to look a bit strange because these ones have gone down beneath this one. So to find out what's going on there, something that might be helpful, I think, is if we put a border around them, that might show us something interesting. If we put a border around these list items, and let's say the border would be 1 pixel, be solid, and be red. It's just a temporary thing we're going to have. And yeah, there we go. So actually that's a lot clearer now. So we've got our index, we've got our sort of cafe link there within these blocks. But here you see, remember we had the about, and then we had this sub menu here, and things have sort of messed up a bit because we've got that sub menu in there. What I'm going to do just temporarily is sort of hide this sub menu. That's going to make it much easier to work on the sort of the top level of our navigation. And then we can worry about this sort of sub list a bit later. So to reference the sub list itself, let's put it here. We can say nav ul. And what's that's doing is saying for any unordered list that's within an unordered list that's within a nav block, do this. And what we're going to say is just display none. Let's try that. And yeah, okay, so it's just not displayed, it's gone, and so everything's neatly aligned now. And we can just work on this top level of the menu. Something that we might want to do now, let's say, is when I bring my mouse over each of these boxes here, it'd be really nice if the background sort of just changed color slightly, like it often does on menus. Let's try that. What I can do is use the hover command in here, and I think I'm going to do that for each list item. So if I say nav list item colon hover, that's gonna just sort of listen for any time when the mouse is over a list item, it will do whatever's in here. And I'm going to change the background color, and we can just change that to grey. Let's use a sort of a hex code in there. If I say 333333, that will change it to a sort of a dark grey. Hopefully, let's try it. Reload the page, and there we go. Move the mouse over it, and it's just changing. So that's pretty nice. So one thing that you may notice here is if my mouse goes over the sort of background here, it's changing grey, but I can't click on it. I can't click on that bit. I have to move my mouse up to the letters there. So let's try and figure out what's going on there and trying to change that. What I want is for the A here, the A tag here, to be sort of larger, to expand into the area of this list item. So perhaps if I set the, let's just try it, the margin to be 1 EM. No, that's not going to work, is it? Let's try the padding to be 1 EM. on there. Things are a bit more sort of padded out, but now you can see when I move my mouse sort of over the background here, it changes. So I can actually click just on the background there to actually follow that link. There's a bit of a problem here. If I move my mouse sort of slightly to the left, there's a sort of a dead area just there. Probably something to do with it's not happening there, so it might be to do with the margins, but actually I think I know what's going on. It's to do with my list and my bullet points. There's a black bullet point there on the black background. If I get rid of those, so that would be part of my unordered list, wouldn't it? And if I say for my unordered list, I have to say list style. If I say no list style as well, that should get rid of the actual sort of bullet points that were there. Well, I thought it would. It's not list decoration, is it? It should be no list. Let's leave it as list style for the time being. We can come back to this. Something else that would be good to get rid of is the sort of the border around here that's outside of my sort of menu that I'm building there. It's not quite clear what's going on there. One thing we could do is actually use the inspect function in Chrome here to have a close look what's going on. You might like to play with that. I think I'm just going to mess around until I can get rid of that border there. So if I were to set the here, if I were to set the padding to 0 and the margin to 0, there we go. Okay, so that's looking nicer, isn't it, already? Let's get rid of those borders as well. Just there, we don't need those anymore. And there, that's actually looking a lot more like a menu now, isn't it? And I can click on those, and it takes me to the section of the site where I want to be. And if I click on this cafe one here, it takes me to a different HTML page. I haven't set the style on this HTML page, so I'd have to set that too. But I'll just go back there to my main page.